Okay, so now let's go through actually how to set up our virtual network so our machines will be able to talk to each other and our laptops can actually talk to our virtual machines. So what you're going to want to do on a Kali Linux machine in the VirtualBox window, you're going to want to right click it again, click on settings, and then click on network and change the attached option, the attached to option to host only, all right? So what this is going to do is going to make a pretty much like a private little network with just the host so that, your host has an IP address and your Kali Linux machine has an IP address and they can talk to each other, okay? So now let's go through the process of setting up our target machines. So we're going to set up two target machines right now. The first machine is called Metasploitable, and the second one is called OWASP, Broken Web App Machine. So these are virtual machines that are made vulnerable on purpose, for educational and training purposes, like this class. So we're going to use them as our proving grounds or training grounds in a sense. So you can download them from these two links right here. And you're going to notice that they come in the form of .vmdk files, and that just means that we just have to select this file as the hard drive when we create the virtual machine, if you remember that option during the process. So now let's actually go through the process of doing one of these. So I'm just going to click on Metasploitable link. I'm going to click on download. It's going to say your download will start shortly. You don't have to click any links or buttons. It'll do it for you, so don't worry. So now let's see, let's put this on the desktop, hit save, and it's going to take a little bit of time to download. So once that's downloaded, we're going to come back and we're going to extract it. Okay, so now we have a zip file downloaded. So I have 7 zip installed, so I can just right click and hit extract here, and it's going to extract out the .vmdk file, as you can see right there, into this folder Metasploitable 2-Linux. Okay, so that's what a VMDK file is going to be that we're going to want. So once this is done, in a couple seconds, there we go, we're going to open up VirtualBox. We're going to click on New, and I'm going to name it Metasploitable, if I spelled it right, I think so. Change the type to Linux. Let's just choose the Linux 2.6 kernel version. And you can keep these as the defaults because these machines aren't for performance, so it doesn't matter. So right here is the option I was talking about, using existing virtual hard disk, okay? So you're gonna click the little folder right here. We're gonna click add. We're gonna go to our desktop, Metasploitable 2, and then choose this file right here. And let's see, and click on it. Double click on it and hit create. And now we have our Metasploitable machine. We can right click it, hit start, normal start. And it's gonna boot up just like, just like the Kali machine did, but it's a lot faster because it's already a created machine. We're just booting it up, okay? And then when you get into the main screen, it'll give you the login information if you want. But really, we just want this machine up, and we want to go through and actually do the host only network settings like for the Kali machine. So let's walk through that really quickly. So for the Kali machine, right click settings, network, change from NAT to host only adapter, right? And we're gonna want to do the same thing for Metasploitable. So settings, network, and then host only. Click the wrong one, host only, and then we're good to go. And then you want to do this exact same thing for the Broken Web Apps VM. And then we have our target set up, and they can all talk to each other. Okay, so now this next step is optional. You can do this if you have the capability to do so, but we're gonna also want to set up an Active Directory domain. Whether you do it or not doesn't really matter because I'm still gonna showcase the attacks against the Active Directory domain. But the main step, the main reason for doing this one as well is just to give you a better idea of what you'll actually see in the real world. Okay, if you were to become an ethical hacker or a penetration tester. So pretty much we're going to set up a domain controller that's running Windows Server 2012, and a Windows 10 client that's going to join that domain. Now, like I said, I'm going to showcase some attacks, so that's why we're going to want to do this. So I have these links right here that you can go to where you can download the ISO files and just install the virtual machines just like the other ones that we did. Where you use the ISO file to install it, kind of like the Kali Linux VM. And then you're just setting it up from scratch. And I'm going to walk you through some of the settings for actually setting up the domain. It's pretty quick. It'll probably take us less than like 30 minutes to do it, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, so now we're just going to go through the basic setup for Windows Server 2012. So when you get prompted with this screen, just hit install now. It's going to start the setup process. So you're going to choose the second one where you're going to choose the server with a GUI, or else you're just going to have a command line. Accept the license terms, custom install. You're going to choose right here and click on next, and then it's going to go through the install process. It's pretty pain-free. So just go through this, and then we're going to get back to setting up our... Okay, so once that process finishes, it's just going to reboot the virtual machine, and you're going to have the Windows logo here, and it's going to be loading. It's going to boot up for the first time. Then you're just going to go through some initial setup, and then we're going to start to set up our domain controller. Okay, so we're setting the password for the administrative account on the domain controller. So super secret password, that's not the password. Super secret password. Finish. And now we have a login. So you're gonna want to send a Control-Alt-Delete. I'm pretty sure you can insert Control-Alt-Delete right there. Putting your super secret password. It's gonna log you in for the first time. And it's gonna, just like any other computer, when you first log in, it's doing some setup stuff. Might be a little bit slow. But what you're going to see is with Windows Server, there's always something called Server Manager that pops up automatically. And this is where you're going to do a lot of the initial, setup for your domain controller, or just in general. We're going to hit yes right here. So we're going to let that load up, and then we're going to be able to set up our domain. Okay, so from the dashboard, the first thing that we're going to want to do is configure this local server. So one thing I like to do is change the computer name. So go in there, click change. I already have it here, but just put in like lab domain controller or lab DC, whatever you want it to be. I'm gonna put lab-DC for lab domain controller, and I'm gonna hit OK. And then it'll ask you if you want to restart, so the changes will apply. We don't have to do that right now. We just restart later. It's not too big of a deal. One other thing I like to do is make sure that I know what the IP address for my devices are. So you can go in here and you can actually give it a static IP address so that it will always have this IP address when it's on the network. So I think our address is 192.168.56, and then we can give it whatever other address that we want. So let's just make it .20 for instance. And I believe that's going to get automatically our subnet mask that we want. So remember, this is like a /24 network, so there's only 256 possible addresses for this one. So we're going to hit OK on that.